Hi, our group chose to do Marissa Meyer, who's the current CEO of Yahoo. We chose to do our project on her for a number of reasons, but I think the most prominent one is that she's from Wisconsin, so we all found an area to relate to her from that. Tonight, through a series of interviews, we hope that you can learn more about her motivational factors, her values, and her overall personality. By conducting these interviews, you're going to learn a lot about her. Mike did personality, Wendy did motivation, Martha did her background, and Nikki did the values.
We're here today with Yahoo's president and CEO, Marissa Meyer's mom. Can you tell us a little bit about what Marissa was like as a child?
Yeah, Marissa was born in 1975 and in Wisconsin, in a small town called Warsaw. And she was a small town girl, and she learned ballet and ice skating in her childhood. And yeah, she showed her great interest in math and science when she is very young, and she also is one of the debater in her high school, and she won the Wisconsin debaters champion. And she also worked at a grocery store, and in her high school, and she kind of memorized all the the products codes in order to kind of streamline the checking out processes.
Wow. So what did she do after high school then?
Yeah, she went to the Stanford University, and she earned a Bachelor of Science in symbolic system, and after that she got a master's degree in artificial science. Yeah.
Wow. Thanks for joining us today, Margaret.
Thank you.
So we're here today with Larry Page, who was Marissa's boss at Google, and he hired her on as the 20th employee. Can you tell us a little about what Marissa worked on while at Google?
Yeah, well, first of all, we offered Marissa a job in 1999. We offered her to lead Google's interface. She worked on various projects like Gmail, Google Maps, Google Earth, and Street View. Those are probably the most notable projects she was on. She was the first female engineer at Google, so that was a pretty big accomplishment, and she's accomplished a lot so far.
Can you tell us about Marissa's last few years at Google?
Yeah, so in 2010, she moved out of her role of overseeing search and put in charge of Google's locations and local services. And in 2011, the committee dissolved, and a new one called L-Team was made, and she was not put on the board of that, which kind of resulted in her leaving. And so now she's CEO of Yahoo and president, and she's the 5th Yahoo CEO in 5 years, and one of the 20 women running a Fortune 500 company right now, so very successful.
All right, thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
As a Yahoo stock analyst, can you tell us about Yahoo's founding?
Absolutely. So Yahoo was founded in 1994 when Stanford students Jerry Yang and David Filo created Jerry and Dave's Guide to the World Wide Web. And that's a dictionary of websites to help people navigate the internet. The main way people would find things at the time when the internet was just coming about. So currently Yahoo is a guide focused on making users' digital habits inspiring and entertaining, and this is done by creating highly personalized experiences for the users. Yahoo likes to keep people connected to what matters most to them, and this is across and around the world. In turn, Yahoo creates value for the advertisers by connecting them with the audience, and that helps build the business.
Tell us about what Yahoo was like when Marissa had started.
So by the time Marissa arrived at Yahoo, it had long been a widely recognized brand. And even though the company had compiled a laundry list of mismanagement and missed opportunities, some 700 million consumers still logged in each month to check their email, get news, see stock quotes, search, and more. The company hasn't launched a new hot product in years, and it had become somewhat of a joke in the Silicon Valley area. The stock had a peak of $118 in early 2000s, and it's continued to bump along. When Marissa joined, it was trading at about $14 to $19, and currently it's trading at $33.
So what has she done as CEO?
So the big thing was Yahoo definitely needed a CEO quick. So Marissa, when she came in, she presented a well-researched plan for every piece of the business, and then she also scored off the charts on Yahoo's aptitude test. So in her first few months there as new CEO, she hired a new CFO, she changed the marketing chief, she hired a new head of HR, and she also hired new publicists. She freed up $4 billion in cash. She replaced all the users' Blackberries with iPhones and Androids, kind of keeping the company up to date and the stone age of Blackberries. She provided employees with free food on Friday, and that kind of upped the just company morale. And then every Friday, they had afternoon meetings where employees could ask questions and just kind of get things off of their mind, and that really, frees up space in the workplace and really gets it going.
So what is the current outlook on the stock?
So currently we're looking at about a 10-year target right now, and it's going to be at $51. And really we're basing that off completely their fantasy sports. We think that's going to bring in a lot of revenues. We'd like to see Yahoo go in that direction. It's something they're good at right now and something people are interested in. As far as what Yahoo was in the past, I don't think it's ever going to be that again, and I think it definitely needs to go in a new direction. So hopefully Marissa can help them attain that goal.
Great, thank you.
Absolutely. Perfect. Marissa, thanks for being with us today. Obviously, you're very highly successful. Can you talk about some of the values that have driven you?
Sure. I would say more of my instrumental values are just like ambition. I've always liked to have a lot of responsibility. I have a lot of confidence in myself, so I always want to be like competent and in the higher half of everything I do. And I also like to use all of my gifts to the fullest extent, like my intelligence, and that's something that I really value. And then more of my terminal values, I would say, can be summed up just in achievement. Like I always want to be at the top of everything and achieve as much as I can.
Okay, great. So those values you just spoke about growing up, what molded you?
I would say it definitely started from a young age. I wanted to have my hands in everything that I could. For example, I was in ballet lessons and ice skating, and we always had recitals, and I wanted to be the top part in every single recital. And I was also in Girl Scouts, and I was my troop leader every single year. I was also on the debate team, and I won the championship every year in high school. I was my cheerleading squad captain, as well as the treasurer of the Key Club and the president of the Spanish Club. So as you can see, basically from like grade school to high school, I wanted to be in charge of everyone and be the most successful in whatever I was doing.
Okay. So it sounds like, growing up, you're definitely very confident and successful inside and outside the classroom. And then Stanford, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's very interesting actually. I went into Stanford thinking I wanted to be a pediatric neurosurgeon, just because that seemed like a really big, important job, and I thought I could be good at it. But I actually found a love of computers and computer sciences while I was there, and came out not only with a Bachelor of Science in Systems, but also with a Master's of Sciences in Computer Science, which I started putting to work as soon as I graduated.
So upon graduation, you're obviously very sought after by employees. When someone says your name, they kind of attribute you to studying on Google and kind of helping fund that. What was your experiences there? Do you have any insight on that?
I actually started when Google was very new. I was only their 20th employee, and at the time I didn't see the company really going anywhere. It was just brand new and off to a rough start. And I basically took the company what it was and made it very successful to the well-known company that it is now. When I was there, everyone kind of knew me because I was the person that was always working hard, never wanted to leave, very good attention to detail. And I just wanted to be the best and make the company the best.
Okay, so after Google, you're on to Yahoo now. Why the transition? Why are you there? Some of the values that you're putting out into the world.
When I was taken on at Yahoo, they were pretty much not in a great state, and I was in charge of completely course correcting the entire company. So I basically took the same values that I had at Google and the same work ethic and brought it to Yahoo and whipped that company into shape, and that's what I'm continuing to try to do today.
Okay. So obviously a great track record. It's very clear. Recently, some people have kind of criticized your character and your attitude towards others. One thing that comes to mind is when you were on maternity leave, you took 2 weeks off. Can you talk about a little bit about your work-life balance and why some people might see you in a negative way because you attribute most of your time to work?
Sure. People definitely always tell me that I'm way too into my work and not enough into my relationships. And to me, like my work is my most important thing. I obviously care about my family, but 2 weeks of maternity leave, for example, is all I felt that I needed. And then I missed working. I didn't want to sit at home and do nothing. I wanted to still feel like I was helping the company. So my main thing is my work does come first, and if people are going to criticize that, then that's okay, but that's why I'm so successful.
It's great to hear, and thank you for taking the time to talk with us.
Thanks for having me.
Go.
So today we have a previous employee of Marissa's here. You worked under Marissa for a few years. Can you kind of talk about what that was like, what some of her values were, and maybe if you were in her position, how you would treat employees a little differently?
I thought she was really difficult to work for and expected a lot out of her employees because her work ethic was really relentless. And even though she did value hard work, at the same time she didn't value the relationships or the people that she worked with, which made it very difficult to work under her. For example, she held office hours for her employees, so it wasn't easy to just schedule or to just go in and talk to her. You had to schedule a time and sign up. So I think that was a really harsh environment and hard for people to work under. And if I were in her position, I would probably have tried harder to build relationships with my coworkers.
Okay, so some questionable actions. Very determined, I would say, likes to be in charge. Can you kind of go into some of her values? You would say.
I would say that she values hard work and just getting the work done. Getting it done well. She's definitely very smart, but at the same time, she doesn't value maybe take into consideration other people's values.
Okay. No, that makes sense. It's kind of a situation where she's on a different level and doesn't really understand that people may have to play some catch up. So,
Exactly.
okay. So I know previous employees have criticized her talking about her work-life balance. What comes to mind is previously her maternity leave. I'm sure you've heard about it. What did you think her work-life balance was? Did you think it was too strong? Did you think it affected the way she worked and treated people?
I think that because she only took the 2 weeks off, she maybe expected that out of other people too, and I think that's unrealistic considering other people's values. A lot of people value family a lot more than maybe she does. And even though she does, I'm sure, value her family, she puts work above that in her life, which isn't realistic.
Okay. So I guess all in all, what you're saying is she was an okay person to work for. The differentiation there was just that, she didn't realize that other people had different values than she did, and that, caused some conflicts in the workplace.
Definitely.
Okay. Well, thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you.
So I'm a personality expert. I have my doctorates in psychology from Harvard University, and I'm going to talk about how I believe that Marissa Meyer is a ENTJ. ENTJs are very frank, decisive, and assume leadership readily. These are all qualities that Marissa has. She's a very decisive person and has extremely high self-efficacy. She believes in her abilities and thinks she can take on any task, which fits right into this personality category. ENTJs are also people who concentrate or enjoy long-term planning, which Marissa has always been about the long term. She doesn't concentrate on just what's happening now, but how she can be better in the future for herself and her company. She's even been quoted as saying, I helped build Google, but I don't like to just sit around. I think the most interesting thing is what happens next. So between her decision making and how she prepares for the future, she's definitely an ENTJ.
Today we have two employees, the Marissas. Yeah, do you want to talk a little bit about her work ethics?
I would say being an employee or a former employee of Marissa is that she is probably the hardest boss I've ever had. She works harder than anyone I've ever worked with or under. She will literally work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Like when you hear about people that never want to leave the office, she is literally that person. Mm-hmm. Even after she had a baby, she only took 2 weeks off of maternity leave, which we all thought was kind of crazy. Like she just was so anxious to get back in.
Yep. I've heard that when she was at Google in her first 5 years, she pulled over 200 all-nighters.
Yeah.
So her work ethic is, she's relentless and she works really hard.
Okay, so how do you think about she as a leader? What do you think about it?
I don't know if she always understands like the people that she's leading, like where they're coming from. So I think that that's really tough. But as a leader, because she works so hard, she does set the tone in the office. And because she works hard, I think it's a good thing. But at the same time, it's really hard for her employees to emulate that.
Yeah, I definitely think there probably was a little bit of conflict in the office just because of her insane work ethic. It like did lead her to be a good leader, but also means there was very little like agreeableness. Like she was not willing to like give up any of her work ethic to make room to like maybe get along better with employees. She doesn't really understand managing any of us any other way than just by being intimidating and intense all the time. She kind of belittled us in a way based on like she didn't think we were working hard enough or doing as much as she was.
She definitely has a high need for power.
Yeah, yeah. It sounds like she's more like an extrovert. How do you think?
I would say she's definitely an extrovert. I would say she gets her energy from interacting with us, so she keeps kind of a social working environment, but as we said before, it's kind of like a negative social working environment. Like she would belittle us if she thought our ideas weren't up to par. And she would constantly have individual group meetings, and she always wanted to interact with us at those meetings, but like I said, she wouldn't really take our ideas seriously. She always had something to trump what we said.
Yeah, I would agree that she's definitely an extrovert, and she does like to work with others and hear others' ideas, but that doesn't always mean that she follows through with them.
Okay, sounds good. So how do you think, how is she emotionally like?
I would say she has high emotional stability, mainly just because she has always been in charge of so many people and had so much responsibility that in order to make all these important decisions, she needed to be very stable. I would say just because of all the stressful situations she was in, she needed to be able to handle anything that was thrown at her. She's always very confident in making decisions. Like her decisions never wavered. She never second guessed herself. Yeah.
She definitely has a very high self-esteem and is confident in her abilities, which is really important as a leader. And I think that she does have very high emotional stability because of that.
Okay, thank you for your.
Okay, so you're an employee who worked at Google under Marissa Mayer. Could you tell me a little bit about the factors and strategies she used to motivate you as her employee?
Yeah, so Marissa started the APM program, which stands for Associate Product Manager, and it was just a program that it was kind of like an internship or mentorship in a way. She would recruit, young talent and try and cultivate and train them for leadership roles, try and just give them the skills that they needed to succeed in the work environment. And some intense classes they would take. So she was motivating them through higher order needs, not the lower ones of like safety and security. And she was trying to give them ways to rise up and just give them all the tools that they needed. So.
Okay. Would you say that's similar to how she motivated herself? It sounds like she was very, wanted things done a certain way. Do you think she was also motivated by the same higher order needs?
Yeah, I would say that she was motivated by those needs. She was always trying to work her way up the best that she could, and that was definitely a key motivator.
So you worked under Marissa Mayer at Yahoo. Do you think you could tell me a little bit about the strategies she used to motivate you and her other employees?
Absolutely. So I was only at Yahoo for a short amount of time, and I was a lower employee there. But some things that I noticed in ways that she motivated us was mostly materially. She gave all employees free lunch. She supplied us all with phones and her services, so I got a free iPhone when I worked there. I had the choice of that or an Android. And that's really what I saw from her. I didn't get a lot of direct communication with her, but from the lower employee standpoint, I saw that the way she tried to motivate us was just through material objects.
Okay. Do you think this was similar to how she motivated herself, or do you think she had a different way to keep herself motivated in the company?
I think personally that she's motivated by internal esteem, and I think that would be a consensus around the office. She's very self-driven. I don't think she really necessarily cares what other people think about her. I think that as long as she has an ego and thinks that she's doing the right thing, that's good enough for her. I don't think the opinions of others really get to her that much.
So she's more motivated by feeling like she's the best rather than other people thinking she's the best?
Yeah, it's kind of like, I remember this from a class in college, but McClellan's theory. So the need for achievement and the need for power, I would say, are the two that she has. I would say that the biggest things that get her going would be just knowing that she is on the top and that she is in control of everyone at the office.
Awesome, thanks so much. So here with us today we have Marissa Mayer, President and CEO of Yahoo. Could you tell me a little bit about some strategies and factors you use to keep yourself motivated even amongst all your success, and why?
Yeah, sure. Because I like to work with talented and smart people, and especially in the work environment. And I think Yahoo also need more talented people in technology and other aspects in work. And I think the most important thing about it is passion. Once you have passion about one thing, you're gonna need to do this, and for sure you have the motivation to achieve it. And also I have a theory that is burnout is about reassessment, and you can beat it by having what is you are giving up and make you resetful. And moreover, and you can have not at least about the work. Maybe you can be a good worker, but you also can be passionate in arts, fashion, things. So I think there are many parts in life that can motivate yourself to be successful.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I hope you gathered from the interviews that Marissa has always been a high achiever, whether that was working at the local grocery store in high school and improving customer flow, or being a member of the state-winning debate team. Going throughout her college career, she was also a high achiever, and then into her career as a whole. Working at Google, high achiever, and then she moved on to Yahoo. Being the CEO of Yahoo, she has a rough road in her future. I think that looking at 5 years out from now, we're really going to be able to determine if some of the motivational factors and values that she talked about today and things that we got out of previous employees from her is true. I think it will be a test of time, and I think that her true self will come out in the future.